And on the topic of school funding itself, conservative analyst C.J. Safer has a few other ways to explain just how much money is flowing into the state here. One fact about the federal COVID relief money is, without any additional state funding, just the federal COVID relief money alone is going to increase spending in Wisconsin's K-12 schools by 15%. This gives massive increases to big districts like Milwaukee and Racine and Beloit. The second point he makes is Wisconsin is receiving so much federal COVID relief funding, we could fund a year of the state budget on it, just by itself, which means it's at least $44 billion coming in from the feds. It's so much money from the feds, we could fund an entire year's worth of state spending. We're receiving COVID funding through a number of sources. It's the plan that Evers passed, that Joe Biden ran through, the unnecessary final COVID relief bill, but it's also the relief bills that were passed under the Trump era. These pots of money, Safer says, are going directly to the governor, the school districts, higher education, local governments. This is such a flood of money. The federal government is essentially matching dollar for dollar what the state spends on our budget for a year. It's another way of looking at it. Another way, federal COVID funding is nearly 104% increase on top of the existing federal funding that Wisconsin expects to receive for the 2021-23 biennial budget. If you don't understand that, what he means is if the next budget includes, I'm just going to use round numbers, but if the next budget includes $40 billion in federal funding of the sort that we get every 2 years from the feds, this one-time flood of federal COVID money is more than doubling that. It's handing us another $42 billion. And saying, spend it any way you'd like, Governor Evers. Taxpayers need to understand the massive scope of this federal flood. It's why I've been saying Joe Biden's final COVID relief bill was absolutely unnecessary, and the final one of the Trump era that passed last fall was probably unnecessary. This is an insane flood of money coming into Wisconsin and Wisconsin schools and Wisconsin's local governments over the next couple of years. And the Democrats are still crying poor? It proves Democrats can never spend enough of your money or your grandkids' money. Or in the case of Biden's COVID relief, they can never spend enough of your great-grandkids' money. We have no way to pay for any of this, but hey, Democrats are back in charge. That's why the very least that Wisconsin Republicans can do is try to force Governor Evers and the Democrats to use some of this torrent of federal money on real needs and not expansions of government. It's another way the budget hems in the governor to the extent that the Republicans could and forces him to use some of this federal money.